So here we are again, back by continuingly on popular demand. And having just listened to Genesis Heat Haze and taken a look at a sense of melancholy and perhaps a sense of frustration about a man's inability to deal with his own issues, we've immediately jumped onto a song where at least this writer addresses what this writer believes is the answer to some of those questions. It's one of my favorite songs, not just from the 90s, but ever. It's atypical of this band. It's atypical of this album, but it is very much worth a listen. Let's jump straight into Blues Traveler 4, or off the album 4, and the track Look Around. So I let that run because it's kind of one thought. It's kind of one continuous thought, and it gets ultimately to the core of what makes the song special for me. What I think we've got a man potentially advising somebody else, potentially trying to help somebody else reach some answers about their own frustrations. Maybe they're also talking to themselves, right? Maybe this is an internal monologue. Brave enough to speak, afraid to see, confuse the issue till you forget. That speaks to me immediately about when you're facing difficult times, when you're facing problems that you struggle to resolve. You can often feel like you've talked about them so much that you're just going in circles. You've talked about them so much, you've repeated the same thing over and over again. You've told the same story. You've explained why you don't do the thing that everybody else thinks you should do because you can't. And you may be brave enough to speak truthfully and fearlessly. But are you brave enough to look inside and see the truth? Or does the discussion just confuse the issue? And that line, wow. I mean, anybody that knows me at all knows that I am unable to let things go. I'm told I do it very well. It's a fantastically clever piece of writing. I'm unable to let things go. I do it very well. I do not letting things go very well. There's a wonderful flip in there, but it also speaks to me in so many ways. There are so many times when I just can't let stuff go. I just have to keep fighting. I just have to keep battling. I have to keep talking while I confuse the issue potentially. You got no one, that's all the same. You've got no one to blame but yourself if you call that a waste. Now, I'm not entirely sure I follow the logic here. More important, you should know that all the same, you've got no one to blame but yourself if you call that a waste, because it ain't me that's been hurting you inside. And if you've learned, you'll know much more than I. So potentially, this is a third person we're talking to. This, to me, is why I wanted to look at this song immediately after Heat Haze, immediately after Withered Leaves that we couldn't let loose. You're going to have to go and find it. Dig beneath the ground. Unearth every ugly stone that kept you on your own and simply put them down. It's so pure. It's so simple. Look inside. Find the things that have been a weight on your soul. Unearth them. Be honest enough to see them and put them down. Let things go. I am unable to let things go. I do it very well. But you're simply going to have to put them down. If you want to be happy, you have to unearth every ugly stone and simply put them down. I absolutely love that lyric. I absolutely adore it. I think it speaks to mental health. I think it speaks to a better way of living. I think it speaks to an impossible dream that we could just simply do that. But boy, oh boy, what a mission statement. Simply put them down. Interestingly, John Popper, possibly the best harmonica player in the entire world ever. Listen to the rest of this album, you will never hear harmonica played like this man plays the harmonica. That would ordinarily have been a harmonica solo, but in fact it's a guitar solo. I don't know who plays it. I don't know why it's not the harmonica, but it's an amazing solo. So, the story evolves as we dig deep in this process. Are we talking about ourselves? I think we are. You'll get no answer from me about what I want or what I get or what I want. that was enough to make her leave? In other words, what is it about me that made her leave? She's not the first one to come and go, come and gone. Lovely way of putting it. She's not the first to leave me, but I don't care. Buyer beware of me, 'cause it might get rough. Now that's bravado. Caveat emptor, is it? Buyer beware? How's the Latin go? I don't care. Buyer beware of me, 'cause it might get rough. It's bravado. It's saying, she's gone, I don't care. She's gone. This is me. This is who I am. It gets rough with me. I'm honest. I speak my mind. It's all those things that we tell ourselves that explain why our life is the way it is, and why it hurts, and why we pretend not to care. And then we get into another lovely piece of lyric. Once again, a lyricist, a singer, a songwriter, writing and singing about being a lyricist, singer, songwriter. If you want peace, live alone. That's not a happy life. To live alone, is that the only option? If you want to hide, find a stage. Wow. Wow. How true is that? Quite often, the more publicly we live our lives, the more we're hiding the truth about our lives. Each a brief but perfect home, living alone or on the stage, to accommodate your rage. Buyer beware. It might get rough. I'm unable to let things go. This is a man looking at himself, and maybe having a look around and seeing his faults. And sometimes in the midst of all my crimes, in the midst of seeing my faults, I feel lost. Or have I lost enough? And my remaining friends, which says everything you need to know, remind me that it's up to you, the things you throw away. This is an examination of a man tearing a path through his life. Once again, the man in the tram crashing your car in Amsterdam. He crashed it without knowing, never felt a thing. This is a man living that same life, smashing his way through life, saying, if you don't like it, leave. This is who I am. But also recognizing that he's making the decisions that determine the things that he throws away. And then we come back to the answer to that. We come back to the self-examination and the self-revelation of the answer to what you have to do if you want to free yourself of the burdens. Dig beneath the ground. Unearth every ugly sin.
As they say, it's up to you. The things you throw away, and still you're gonna have to go and find it. You'll have to dig beneath the ground. You'll have to earn every ugly star kept you on your own. And simply put them down. You're gonna have to look around.
This song's called Look Around. I think it could easily be called Look Inside. I think that's what it's saying. You're going to have to look inside. I think it's a fantastic piece of writing about a relatable life, a point that we can all get in our lives when we look at the mess we've made and can't work out how to solve it, and can't work out who to blame, where to place the blame, and ultimately realize the blame lies with us. I don't know if I can live this self-examined life. I don't know if I'm self-aware enough to do it. I don't know if I'm honest enough with myself to do it, but certainly I think we can all try. What a phenomenal piece of writing. Dig beneath the ground, unearth every ugly stone that kept you on your own, and simply put them down. It sounds so simple. It sounds so phenomenal when John Popper sings it. It sounds like an answer. Look inside, look around. Listen to it again. It's a song that's worth listening to. It's an album that's worth listening to. Blues Traveler 4, I think from about 1990. It is phenomenal. I've enjoyed looking at this again. I hope you have. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Oh, seriously, keep the faith. What was I thinking? I got caught up in the moment. Keep the faith.